Do not adjust your set. No, Gonzo has not had plastic surgery and gone and made himself more handsome in some shady backstreet Brazilian surgery. I know what you're thinking. Hear me out. Don't bail on me. Don't leave just yet. You're thinking not another fan cam, because I know what it's like, right? As much as we have some lovely patrons that do the fan cams, you're like me, right? You see the intro music, you see a video's gone up, you're expected to see Gonzo's face or our Geo, because we've built up a rapport. We know them. And then you see some other muck, right? And you're disappointed. I want you to hear me out. Don't leave me. I want you to stay with me just for a minute. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Michael. And I'm lucky enough to do a program on the Hammers Chat Patreon called Overland and Seaward. Now, some of you know that our friend Gonzo is taking just a short sabbatical at the moment, just to get himself right, because there's been some dramas that we won't go into. Now, ultimately, I'm hoping you'll understand this. Is these gentlemen's jobs is what they do for a living. And the bills keep coming and life keeps coming. And so, therefore, they need content on there. So I've offered to jump on and talk to you today. If you don't mind, it would really, really make me happy, and it would really, really support the guys if you would just stay with me for a minute and hear what I've got to say. Right, that's that out of the way. Broken West Ham, our beloved West Ham. Now, you know, if you're anything like me, I've been a lifelong Hammer. I personally was brought up in East London, a stone's throw from the ground. I'm a Canning Town boy, born into the family. You don't choose your club chooses you. It's maybe a debate for another day, but I feel like very little of my club is left anymore. I want to talk about the infrastructure of our club. Now, just for the record, and without bringing up the issues with Gonzo, I don't work for anyone. I don't work for the club. Those of you that know me, I'm a self-employed singer that lives in Tenerife, and you've caught me actually on my holidays. The wife is going to be mad because first family holiday in 13 years. So I'm coming to you from Salou in Spain. But I've jumped on because I want to talk about the broken infrastructure in our club. And I want to talk about, first of all, the Stitan Experiment, the Tim Stitan Experiment. Now, we'll know, older, more vintage West Ham supporters will know this is not the first time we've experimented with a kind of director of football. Or I say experimented, we've kind of dipped our foot in, one toe in. We did it once before with Nani, didn't we? And we also did it to a degree when we had Pellegrini, when he was able to bring in his own man with Mario Huselos. Both times it didn't really work out. So I understand a lot of people were very strongly behind Stitan. And I understand the reason why. They were behind him because ultimately what they wanted was a change at the top, a change of infrastructure, to not let it in Sullivan's grubby little hands doing his deals. And we all know how those deals and how Sullivan and the ownership at West Ham operate. But ultimately, again, it's been a bit of a failure. And I just want to talk about why. Now, those of you hardened Stitan supporters will be quick to argue that he never really did get a fair crack of the whip. He never really got a fair chance. And I would agree with you, because Sullivan's a control freak and he struggles to relinquish power and his grip on power and all things around West Ham. It's almost like he wants to play football manager. But let's have a look at some of the facts. And herein lies what I think is the problem with the infrastructure at West Ham. We never quite get it right, do we? It's always the same. If we have a manager that is looking for a team that plays with a target man, we'll let Andy Carroll go and we'll bring somebody in like Chicharito, who doesn't play that style of football. If we're looking for someone who's a fox in the box, we will be looking for an Andy Carroll. If we do have an Andy Carroll, the instructions will be to stop crossing the ball. We never quite get it right at West Ham. And the same can be said with all the appointments at the top. Now, coming back to Stitan, although I wanted to see change, you wanted to see change, and people were hopeful that it would be wrestled out of David Sullivan's hands, and it never quite was, what we were sold was a bit of a pup. Now, I'm not sure how many people know this. Tim Stitan was never a director of football anywhere else. It was his first rodeo. He had been one of a team of a scouting network at Bayer Leverkusen, just one of a team. Therefore, what we did was employ somebody that had never, ever done the job before. In fact, effectively, he was as qualified as our own Mark Noble, who at least knows the club, who at least has the club's interest at heart, who at least has an ear to the ground as a fan himself. And it never quite worked. Now, I'm going to be so bold here as to disagree with our own Gio. Gio always says that what we're lacking here is a negotiator. And I agree with that, because at present, the negotiators trying to get the deals over the line for our transfers this coming or this current as it pertains transfer window has been left down to deal or no deal, take it or leave it, Brady and Sullivan. We know how Sullivan operates. We're stuck in the 90s, yeah? He operates by going with his preferred agents, and maybe there's a little brown envelope in there, disclaimer. You know, no one at Hammers Chat is claiming that. And that's the way he likes to negotiate. He likes someone who will literally just be a safe pair of hands when it comes to management, shopping in the bargain basement bin of out-of-work unemployed managers, and players that are Premier League proven from an agent or a source that he's preferred people to work with, right? It was a big step for him to bring in Stitan, but we got it wrong because we got in somebody that wasn't proven for the job. Trying to think of the fella's name. I think it's Mitchell, and I think it's Paul Mitchell, who's the director of football at the moment, who came from Monaco, who's very good friends with Mark Noble. In fact, when Noble first took the job upstairs at West Ham, he went over to Monaco to spend some time with Mitchell. So actually, Mitchell would have been a better director of football choice, and Noble would have been a better director of football choice. But coming back to what I'm saying, it didn't work for Stitan because we employed somebody in the role that had never done it before. And like I said, to disagree with Gio, the negotiations is the easy bit for me. Now, don't get me wrong. There is an art to it, and it's not take it or leave it like Brady does. But I could have got those deals over the line. When it comes to Kudus and Alvarez, who were pretty much already signed, that were also spotted, by the way, by Mark Noble and not by Stitan, but Stitan gets the credit for it. If you go and you negotiate and you come back and you send your pictures to Fabrizio Romano of you on a private jet and you've sealed the deal, how hard to do is that? If you're going to overpay the wages, I could negotiate. I could get you to sign with West Ham right now if I wasn't bothered how much I was offering you, how much that affected FFP or PSR. Again, I've got no ties to the club. I don't need to defend anyone. I don't need to be a bald mouthpiece. I can't stand the ball. I'm balled out, right? But this could be why they're using the excuse now that there's no money, because look at the money we spent last year. I could also negotiate any of you to do anything. If I can make an endless supply of promises, oh, yeah, you're going to be a first-team starter. Oh, yeah, you're going to be playing alongside Paquetá. We're not going to be selling our best players. I can make all manner of false promises, and I can offer you all types of wages, yeah? Like Sullivan has done. He's at fault as well. Like Sullivan has done with Danny Ings on an alleged 125 grand a week. Of course, you're going to get the deal over the line. How hard is it to negotiate and get the deal over the line when you can offer all the promises in the world? But maybe, just maybe, that's the reason why we've got unrest now in the dressing room. Maybe that's the reason why there's fallouts behind the scenes. Maybe that's the reason why there's alleged cliques and little groups going on in the dressing room. Maybe that's the reason why players like Alvarez and Todibo and others, certainly those two, have fallen out with Lopetegui and allegedly Potter, and some of them with Moyes. Oh, excuse me. But I'm going to sneeze half over everybody. But I think that's because false promises were made. And I think that's easy to do. So no wonder the dressing room is unhappy. All right, he didn't get a fair crack at it, Stitan. But I think ultimately what that tells us is that there is a bigger problem behind the scenes with our club. And that's putting the wrong people in charge at the wrong posts, right? I mean, that's like getting Derek, who's never played football before, but he's brilliant at snooker. He's going to be our new goalkeeper. It doesn't fit and it doesn't work. Unfortunately, I feel like we're doing it again. I feel like we've offered Moyes a contract under the guise of head coach only, not an all-seeing, all-doing, powerful, all-encompassing manager. And he didn't want that because he's old school. And we said, no, we're not doing that. We're going with a new, more modern way. We got rid of Moyes. We brought in Lopetegui. He was meant to be a head coach. It hasn't worked. We brought in Stitan to be a director of football. He'd never done it before. It hadn't worked. Look at our ownership and our board. They're not good at getting deals done. They're not good at getting deals over the line. It hasn't worked. Again, you could make all the promises in the world to get the deal done, to get the negotiations done, to tie up the deal. It doesn't mean you're going to have a happy camp. We haven't. I was one of the lone voices at the beginning of the season, and Sat and Gatesy would tell you this from the podcast, that didn't think we'd won the transfer window. I didn't think we'd signed good players. I thought we'd signed okay players and good individual players. I couldn't see how we got the team together under Lopetegui's style and the way he plays. We needed more athleticism and dynamism in the midfield, and we wasn't able to get it. And when I saw some of the players coming in, the pieces just didn't fit for me. And look where we are. We've had a season where we've narrowly avoided relegation. I think we'll all agree it's largely been disappointing. I worry for the future because now we've brought Graeme Potter in, who is a head coach. He's always been a head coach at Ostersund, at Swansea, at Brighton, and at Chelsea, a head coach. But yet he seems to be back to this all-encompassing, all-inclusive managerial role that we wouldn't let Moyes have. And I was Moyes out, by the way, towards the end. We wouldn't let him have that role. Now we've gone back again. It's hickledy-pickledy. We don't know what we want at our club. I hear this argument that we'll be all right when Potter gets in his own players. Potter's never had his own players. Potter's success, 9th, 15th and 16th at Brighton. But okay, Potter's success at Brighton was never with his players. The recruitment was done for him with Tony Bloom and his algorithm, you know, with Dan Ashworth and others giving him the pieces and him getting the best out of them. If he's a head coach, why can't he have got the best out of the players that are already there at his disposal? That's not happened, has it? And now we need an overhaul. And we always seem to need an overhaul. Again, because it's broken West Ham and we're broken at the top. When Noble retired, that next season was an overhaul with 9 players going out. Then we sold Rice and it was going to be a big overhaul and a rebuild. And now this season, we're probably going to end up losing 9 to 12 players. It's going to be a big overhaul. I don't think it's healthy when you bring in an abundance of players for team chemistry. So next year, we'll probably have another overhaul. We've had the second oldest squad in the Premier League last season. Another overhaul. Ultimately, it's broken at the top. And now I worry. I worry that we've got a head coach in the position of all-seeing manager that we once abandoned, now we seem to have brought back. I worry that we've done another Stitan, and this is no shade at Carl McCauley. I do know that he was a data analyst. I do know he was respected at Brighton. I do know he was respected at Chelsea. Computer stuff, finding analytics, finding data, players that match. Never once has he gone out and signed a player. Never once has he been in charge of negotiations. And now we're back to square pegs in round holes. We have a head coach managing the team and trying to do a role that he's never done in his career. We have a data analyst coming in to do the director of football role. We got rid of a director of football that had only been a scout in a team at Bayer Leverkusen. I'm worried, and I don't mean to be negative. I'm worried about the future of West Ham. I'm worried because we don't quite get it right. Like I said in the earlier example, if we want to play football on the ground, we'll go and get a load of 6'5" aerial players. You know, we just always seem to get it wrong. Let's hope I'm wrong. Let's have our fingers crossed for the transfer window and the upcoming season. That's just my thoughts on it. My thoughts are nothing's really going to change at West Ham until there's a change at the top because the poison drips down. If you haven't signed a petition to get the ball out, whether you think it'll make a difference or not, get your voice heard and find the Brady and Sullivan petition, the BS out petition, and get that signed. We do a little YouTube bit. Do like and subscribe here on Hammers Chat. It would help me if you interact in the video and give us your comments below. If you want to see more of what I do with Gatesy and Sat, then do sign up to Patreon. They're doing a free 7-day trial at the moment. And lastly, just best wishes to Gonzo. I'm sure you'll continue the trend of wishing him well in the comments. And lastly, for me, you know, I've jumped out and put myself out here on this main forum channel, which I don't normally do, and I'm a sensitive soul as well. So do be kind. More than that, be kind to each other. Let me know what you think. Do you agree? Is it broken at West Ham? Is ultimately the problem that infrastructure is broken? Like and subscribe. Interact in the video. Thank you so much for watching. Be kind to each other and come on, you.